It's interesting to see how quickly the deep state propaganda will memory hole any story that doesn't fit their agenda, which is exactly why the Las Vegas shooting has all but disappeared from the minds of Americans and why the shooting at YouTube headquarters will be forgotten in about a week. Because not only does this tragedy not fit the narrative, it seems to run counter to nearly every single one of the media's talking points when it comes to gun control, while at the same time bringing up other issues they'd rather not talk about, like immigration and the out-of-control censorship on YouTube. So in terms of disasters to exploit, there's really nothing for them to work with. And while this won't stop them from using it anyway, and the more cringy leftists are going to do their damnedest to try to use this as an opportunity to virtue signal,
maybe Gucci and Coach need to work on creating clear handbags for working professionals now.
Does gun control work? Yes. Yes, it definitely works.
They really can't discuss the event too long before a lot of uncomfortable facts start to pop up. By now you've heard of Nasim Aghdam, the 39-year-old Iranian woman who allegedly opened fire at YouTube headquarters. Now, when the shooting was first reported, there were accounts of a man wearing full body armor just shooting at people, and I haven't really been able to find anything on that other than just this WhatsApp chat screenshot that got tweeted out. And so in the absence of anything more than that, for the time being, let's just go ahead and analyze the official story. So the official story is Nasim Aghdam was a YouTuber that, seemingly out of rage over her videos being demonetized, went to YouTube and opened fire on employees at random. Now, I did find posts on social media on her website that go back to 2016 where she claims that YouTube was suppressing her videos, and a screenshot where she claims that she only received 10 cents for 300,000 views. This would be after the changes YouTube made in response to what they perceived as the right leveraging YouTube to get Donald Trump elected. But really, it's because it gives people like me an even playing field with the deep state. They figured if we can't make money, that we won't be able to afford to keep making videos, which is not entirely inaccurate. At any rate, right out of the gate with the official story, we have lots of problems for the anti-gun crowd. First of all, despite what several people on Twitter were saying, she's not a white male, she's an immigrant, and she's a woman. So the caricature of the MAGA hat wearing redneck that the left has been painting in the imaginations of their followers suffers a pretty big blow. And you could also make the argument that it calls into question the assimilation of immigrants from the Middle East. And to make matters worse, she didn't use an AR-15, the favorite boogeyman of the anti-gun left, but instead used a 9mm handgun. So there's nothing for them to latch onto there. If we dig even deeper into Nasim Aghdam, we discover she was extremely active on social media. I was able to back up most of her content before the social media accounts were wiped completely from the face of the earth. Something I thought was a little bit strange, by the way, and I would disagree with that decision even if it were some kind of terrorist propaganda. But it wasn't. That's not what it was at all. It was, her content can only be described as bizarre. Hours and hours and hours of vegan extremism, complete with the kind of brutal imagery you often see put out by groups like PETA, but also videos where she appears to be attacking American pop culture, in videos where I'm guessing they're supposed to be funny because she labels them parodies, but it's really just really kind of creepy, dead-eyed, monotone, weird videos. The consistent thread in all of her photos and the hours and hours of video is her facial expression never, ever changes. And she always speaks with the same monotone, emotionless voice, whether she's speaking in English or Farsi.
من تو رو اینقدر دوست دارم. بیان فقط در حد شعار ظلم به حیوانات پرورشی. Now, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people that have like MK Ultra type theories about that. My brain definitely went there. If I was going, let me just put it this way. If I was going to make a movie about mind control victims and MK Ultra victims, I would cast someone that behaved exactly like Nasim Aghdam did. But at any rate, the only thing we can definitively say is that there seems to be ample evidence that she was in one way or another
mentally ill. Something her parents must have known, which leads us to another reason why her story is going to disappear from the media. Nasim's parents had reported her missing to police. In fact, they even told police that she was extremely upset with YouTube and was likely headed to their headquarters. But the worst part is, the police found her. They found her sleeping in her car the night before the shooting, and they let her go. Now, we don't know all the details yet, but just like the Parkland shooting, it appears as though law enforcement, once again, knew in advance and did nothing. So the story of Nasim Aghdam, an Iranian immigrant, vegan, extremist YouTuber who made bizarre content for sure, but just like any other bizarre content on YouTube, still had a pretty big audience from what I could see on the view count, was pushed over the edge by YouTube's Orwellian and, quite frankly, sadistic censorship and demonetization policies. After being let go by the police in a state that pretends mental illness doesn't exist, who knew she might be a threat, by the way, and was allowed to go shoot up YouTube's headquarters and then commit suicide. The only way they can spin this to their advantage, and perhaps this is what we'll see, is they could twist this around to bolster their attempts at silencing gun-related speech. And you could say this could be used to get employees at YouTube fully behind the anti-gun agenda, but I kind of feel like that would already be the case in Silicon Valley. Otherwise, assuming some new information about the so-called body armor-wearing shooter doesn't come out, or maybe there's going to be some surprising new aspect to Nasim that hasn't been discovered yet, she's going to be forgotten. YouTube erased her from the platform just moments after learning her identity, quickly followed by Facebook and Instagram. All of her accounts are just gone. I'm confident this will not have what may have been her intended effect, and that is to get YouTube to rethink their policies. If anything, it's going to do the opposite. In fact, one frightening detail that a lot of people might have missed is this little exchange on ABC News where they talk about how awesome it was that Twitter and other social media outlets were deleting users' posts about the incident.
Immediately after this shooting, it triggered a rash of conspiracy theories and hoaxes, rumors online. And what's unusual about this event is that social media companies jumped on it immediately, quashing them. Twitter actually deleting certain posts, actually writing us that it takes this approach during situations where misnaming someone online could put those individuals in harm's way. So it says it had to act. George.
Yeah, unfortunately, they've had to learn how to act.
So this is the darkest kind of scary irony imaginable, that in response to what she did, they censored people. But that should tell you something about the direction these companies are going in. Silicon Valley, in their arrogance, forgot that the information flows in both directions. And now they're trying to stuff the genie back in the bottle. And events like this are just going to strengthen that resolve. While the propaganda media is going to try to memory hold this as quickly as possible, I'll definitely keep my eye on this case and report anything new that might come up. For BlackPilled, I'm Devin Stack. If you like my content, please make sure you like and subscribe. Also, share these videos. You can donate at patreon.com/BlackPilled or use the crypto addresses below, also at blackpilled.com/donate.